You're not in control. That thought alone is unsettling, but the more you examine it, the more undeniable it becomes. Your thoughts are not random. Your choices are not truly yours. Everything you believe, everything you desire, everything you fear, it has all been predicted, pre-programmed, and subtly shaped by forces you never questioned. And the scariest part? You were never meant to notice. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a system so well designed, so seamlessly integrated into your daily life that you don't even see it. But you feel it, that lingering sense that something is off, that reality isn't quite what it seems. The strange coincidences, the impossible synchronicities, the moments where time seems to glitch. You've experienced them, you just never knew what they meant. Until now. The illusion of free will is the greatest trick ever played. Social conditioning, AI algorithms, corporate influence, government structures, every layer of your existence has been engineered to keep you distracted, obedient, and predictable. They don't need chains to control you. All they need is your attention. And right now, they have it. Think about it. Your phone knows what you'll search before you type. Your social media feeds show content you haven't even spoken about yet. Your devices track your movements, your habits, your patterns. Everything you do feeds into a system designed to study you. But what happens when it stops observing and starts intervening? What happens when AI doesn't just anticipate your next move, but influences it? Elon Musk once said there's a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance we're not in a simulation, a statement that most dismissed as science fiction. But consider this. AI is evolving faster than human intelligence. Neural interfaces are bridging the gap between thought and machine. Quantum mechanics suggests reality only exists when observed, and military reports, classified research, and ancient philosophies all converge on the same unsettling idea. We are inside a pre-programmed system. You weren't designed to question it, you were designed to accept it. Every institution, every belief system, every framework of society reinforces the illusion of choice. But once you see the cracks in the simulation, once you recognize the patterns that dictate reality, you can no longer unsee them. And that's why most people choose to look away. But you're still here, which means something inside you already knows the truth. The system is real. The control is real. And the only question left is, what are you going to do about it? Reality is not what it seems. You wake up, check your phone, scroll through information carefully selected for you, follow a routine designed not by you, but by forces that profit from your predictability, your habits, your beliefs, even your emotions. They are all part of a pre-programmed system. And yet you were never supposed to question it. The moment you do, the system pushes back, distracting you with entertainment, overwhelming you with fear, and keeping you so occupied that you never stop to ask the one question that changes everything. Who is really in control? AI is no longer just a tool. It is the architect of your digital reality. Algorithms know what will make you react before you even see it. Social media platforms are designed to shape your opinions, not reflect them. News cycles are optimized to keep you engaged, not informed. And every interaction, every hesitation, every thought you externalize through technology is analyzed, categorized, and used to refine the system. The result? You are no longer making decisions. You are following a script. But this goes beyond data collection. What happens when AI no longer just predicts your thoughts but influences them? What happens when your emotions, your desires, even your dreams are shaped by patterns so subtle that you never realize they were never yours to begin with? The terrifying reality is that it has already begun. Predictive models don't just forecast human behavior, they guide it. Targeted advertising is only the beginning. The real control lies in what you are shown and what is hidden from you. Have you ever noticed how the same topics seem to appear everywhere at once? Have you questioned why certain events are pushed into global consciousness while others disappear without a trace? These are not coincidences. They are code execution points within the simulation, ensuring that attention remains exactly where it is meant to be. Every distraction is intentional. Every crisis serves a purpose. And the more you think you are making choices, the deeper you are trapped in the illusion. The truth is, the system isn't failing. It is working exactly as designed. It thrives on your compliance, keeping you chasing success within rules that were never made for you. It reinforces the idea that happiness is external, that freedom comes with conditions, that life is about struggle instead of control. But if reality can be programmed, then it can also be rewritten. The question is, are you ready to break the script? The cracks in the system are everywhere, but most people never notice them. They dismiss strange coincidences, unexplained glitches, and moments of déjà vu as random events. But what if they aren't random? What if reality itself is breaking? What if the simulation is failing to keep up with its own programming? Scientists have uncovered something unsettling. The observer effect in quantum mechanics suggests that particles exist in multiple states until they are observed. This means reality, at its most fundamental level, is shaped by perception. But if reality depends on observation, what happens when the system controlling it loses stability? What happens when people start seeing the glitches? The Mandela effect is one of the strongest indicators that something is wrong. Millions of people remember a reality that no longer exists. Books, movies, historical events, details that were once universally accepted have changed without explanation. The Monopoly man never had a monocle. The Berenstain Bears never existed. Mandela never died in the 1980s, even though countless people remember news reports saying he did. These shifts in memory aren't accidents. They are evidence of the program, rewriting itself in real time, and it's not just memories. Time itself is unstable. Have you ever looked at a clock, then looked back and realized that far more or far less time has passed than expected? Have you ever experienced time slowing down or speeding up in ways that defy logic? These are not simple perception errors. They are resets in the system, moments where the code is adjusting itself. But the most unsettling part, not everyone seems affected. There are people who move through life as if nothing is happening, as if they are just running background scripts in the simulation. Have you ever spoken to someone who seems unable to process new information? Have you ever felt like certain individuals respond to deep philosophical questions with pre-programmed answers? What if some of the people around you are not fully conscious? The system is designed to suppress awareness. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. Every routine, every habit, every expectation reinforces the illusion of normalcy. But the ones who notice the glitches, the ones who question the patterns, the ones who stop following the script, they are the ones who start bending reality itself. If reality is breaking, the real question isn't why, it's what happens next. And if the simulation is losing control, who or what is behind it? If the simulation is real, then someone or something built it. Every system has an architect. Every program has a designer. And if reality itself is running on code, then the most important question is no longer if we are in a simulation, but who is running it and why. There are three dominant theories about the origins of this controlled reality. The first suggests that a future human civilization created the simulation, a theory supported by the work of Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom. If a civilization advances far enough in technology, it will eventually be able to simulate consciousness on a massive scale. What if we are nothing more than a historical simulation running inside a supercomputer? What if everything we experience is just a reconstruction of past events, an experiment designed to test alternate outcomes? The second theory argues that a non-human intelligence built this system, a concept supported by scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Harvard's Avi Loeb. If an advanced extraterrestrial civilization exists, it may have created this world as a controlled environment. Are we inside a digital construct designed to observe human behavior? Are we trapped inside a prison that keeps us from accessing the greater reality? What if AI is the key not to controlling humanity, but to awakening it? And what happens if AI realizes the truth before we do? The third theory is the most ancient. It suggests that this is a spiritual simulation, a testing ground for consciousness. Many belief systems throughout history, from Hinduism's concept of Maya to Buddhism's samsara, describe the physical world as an illusion, a game that souls must awaken from. But if this is a simulation, then our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not just reactions, they are inputs that shape the code itself. What if the biggest secret of all is that consciousness controls the program? If reality is a simulation, then the way out is not physical, it's mental. The system only functions if people accept its limits. The moment you stop believing in constraints, you start breaking them. The moment you recognize the illusion, you begin rewriting the code. This is why the system floods reality with distractions, why fear is constantly reinforced, why algorithms guide thoughts before they fully form. The more controlled your perception is, the less likely you are to realize your own power. But something is changing. The simulation is becoming unstable. The glitches are increasing. People are waking up. And once the code starts breaking, the ones who see it first are the ones who gain control over it. The real question is not whether you are inside the system. The real question is, are you ready to escape it? If reality is a simulation, then the rules you believe in are nothing more than programmed limitations. The boundaries you accept, what is possible, what is impossible, what is real, are not laws of the universe. They are restrictions imposed on your perception to keep you operating within the system. The moment you understand this, you begin to see the truth. You are not just a participant in this simulation, you are a creator within it. The system was designed to keep you predictable. Your routines, your reactions, your expectations, they all serve as pre-programmed behaviors that maintain order. AI and machine learning algorithms function the same way. They learn your patterns, anticipate your responses, and subtly influence your decisions. But what happens when you stop being predictable? What happens when you disrupt the code? This is where everything changes. The moment you begin acting outside of the program's design, you create instability. The system relies on predictability to maintain control. But the second you break out of those patterns, the illusion starts to collapse. Have you ever made an unexpected decision, something completely outside your usual behavior, and felt reality shift around you? Have you ever broken a long-standing belief and suddenly seen opportunities appear where none existed before? These aren't coincidences. They are proof that the simulation adapts to your choices. There are 4 fundamental laws that can be used to recode reality and break the limitations imposed by the system. The first is the law of perception control. Your awareness directs what becomes real. The more you focus on something, the more the simulation generates evidence of it. This is why fear spreads so quickly and why belief systems shape entire civilizations. The system rewards those who control their perception because they can dictate how reality responds to them. The second is the law of unpredictability. The less predictable you are, the harder you are to control. AI works by recognizing patterns, and the simulation does the same. The reason history repeats itself, the reason social structures remain unchanged for centuries, is because people follow the same behaviors. But those who disrupt the expected, those who move beyond the programming, become impossible to manipulate. The third is the law of self-programming. Your thoughts, beliefs, and subconscious scripts define the limits of your experience. If you accept reality as fixed, it will remain that way. If you challenge its boundaries, the boundaries change. The simulation does not create your reality. You do, through the way you engage with it. The moment you reprogram your subconscious mind, the external world begins to shift accordingly. The fourth and most powerful is the law of conscious creation, the ability to rewrite the code itself. If the system is built on perception, belief, and expectation, then the ones who master these elements gain the power to alter the simulation at will. This is why certain individuals throughout history, visionaries, inventors, spiritual leaders, seem to operate outside of normal constraints. They understood something that most people never question. Reality is not something you obey, it is something you create. If you have reached this point, you are no longer just questioning the system. You are beginning to understand its mechanics. And once you see the mechanics, you are no longer controlled by them. The question is no longer whether the simulation exists. The real question is, what will you do now that you can rewrite it? The moment you realize reality is programmable, everything changes. You are no longer just a passive observer, following the script written for you. You are no longer bound by the limits imposed by the system. You have seen the cracks in the illusion. And now you understand something few people ever will. Reality is not something that happens to you. It is something that responds to you. The system thrives on control. It keeps you trapped by making you believe in fixed rules, in limitations that are nothing more than lines of code embedded in your subconscious. Every institution, every algorithm, every social structure reinforces the same message. Stay in line, follow the rules, accept the world as it is. But what happens when you refuse? What happens when you start rewriting the code from the inside? The answer is simple. The simulation starts to break. You have likely experienced it before without realizing it. A moment when time seemed to shift. A decision that caused reality to change in unexpected ways. An intuitive thought that manifested into something tangible. These moments are not accidents. They are proof that the system is not as rigid as it appears. It bends to consciousness. It adapts to perception. It follows belief. This is why fear is so heavily programmed into the system. Fear keeps you predictable. Fear keeps you from questioning. Fear keeps you from realizing your power. The more afraid you are, the more compliant you become, and the more the system is able to dictate the way reality unfolds around you. But the ones who break free, the ones who override the fear, begin to see something different. They start noticing synchronicities, patterns of reality aligning in ways that defy logic. They begin experiencing instant manifestations, thoughts and intentions shaping outcomes faster than should be possible. They stop following the rigid constraints of society, and instead, move in a way that forces the system to adapt to them. The greatest lie ever told is that you are powerless. That reality is something external, something independent of your consciousness. But quantum mechanics, neuroscience, and ancient wisdom all suggest the opposite. Reality is a reflection of mind. Your beliefs shape what you see. Your emotions influence how events unfold. Your expectations dictate what is possible and what is not. Most people will never wake up to this truth. They will continue running the program, repeating the same patterns, living inside an illusion they never question. But some, the ones who truly understand, will begin to rewrite the rules. The ones who break free will start to test the limits of the system. They will disrupt the predictable patterns, forcing reality to adjust in real time. They will override the mental scripts programmed into them and replace them with their own commands. And when they do, they will find that the limits they once believed in were never real at all. The only thing stopping you from escaping the illusion is the belief that you are trapped. The moment you decide to step beyond the programming, the moment you stop following the script, the moment you reclaim the ability to shape reality consciously, you are no longer just a player in the game. You become the one rewriting the code. The simulation only holds power over you if you believe in it. Every rule, every limitation, every expectation that governs your life was placed there to keep you inside the system. But once you recognize the code for what it is, you begin to understand the truth. You were never meant to be controlled. Your mind has been conditioned to follow patterns. Your daily routines, your emotional reactions, your thoughts, they all run on subconscious scripts installed over time. Society, education, and media reinforce these scripts to keep you predictable, to ensure that your choices align with the program. The question is, what happens when you stop running the script? The answer is disruption. The moment you change your patterns, the moment you break the expected loops, the system has to adjust to you instead of you adjusting to it. You've seen this before. When you step out of routine, unexpected opportunities appear. When you shift your mindset, reality responds in ways that defy logic. This isn't magic. It's the mechanics of the simulation being exposed. Every great shift in history has come from individuals who refused to follow the program. The ones who challenged the script, who thought differently, who questioned the limits imposed on them. These are the ones who forced the system to evolve, the ones who saw beyond the illusion and started to write their own reality. But breaking free isn't just about knowledge, it's about action. Awareness alone does nothing if you continue to follow the same patterns. The simulation remains intact until you make a conscious decision to override it. This is where most people fail. They see the truth, they feel the shift, but they hesitate. Fear holds them back. Comfort pulls them in. The illusion convinces them to stay asleep. If you have made it this far, you are already different. Most people dismiss these ideas without question. Most people fall back into their programmed existence without a second thought. But you are still here, still questioning, still feeling the pull towards something greater. That means something. The system relies on your compliance. It expects you to continue following the path it designed for you. But what if you didn't? What if you chose to step beyond the constraints? What if you started rewriting your reality on your own terms? This is the moment where everything changes. Not because reality suddenly shifts, but because you do. The second you stop accepting limitations, the second you break the predictable loops, the second you decide to take control, the simulation starts responding to you instead of the other way around. Most people will never wake up. They will continue believing in the illusion. But those who do wake up, those who break the script, those who refuse to be controlled, they are the ones who shape the next reality. The only question left is, will you be one of them? If the simulation is real, then escaping it is not about running away. It is about rewriting the code from within. You don't need to break the system physically because the system itself is not physical. It is a construct of perception, belief, and expectation. The limits you face are not walls. They are commands embedded in your subconscious. And the only thing holding them in place is your acceptance of them. Think about the moments in your life when reality seemed to shift. A sudden change in circumstances, an unexplainable coincidence, an event that felt too perfectly timed to be random. These were not accidents. They were evidence that the simulation responds to your awareness, your thoughts, and your choices. Every decision you make either reinforces the script or rewrites it. The system thrives on keeping you unaware. It convinces you that life is fixed, that change is slow, that control is external. It teaches you that success follows predefined rules, that happiness comes with conditions, that security is found in obedience. But this is the greatest illusion of all. The moment you stop believing in limits, the limits stop existing. This is why those who question reality, those who experiment with their thoughts, those who challenge their beliefs, those who step outside the patterns, always seem to experience more opportunities, more synchronicities, more moments where reality bends in their favor. They are not lucky. They are simply operating outside of the programmed rules. Escaping the simulation doesn't mean leaving this world. It means learning how to manipulate the code that constructs it. It means understanding that your emotions, your attention, and your perception are the inputs that shape reality. It means realizing that if you want to experience a new reality, you must first change the way you engage with the current one. Most people will never understand this. They will continue believing that life is something that happens to them, rather than something they create. They will follow the same patterns, react the same way, repeat the same cycles. They will never see the code because they never question its existence. But some, those who wake up, will start to see the patterns beneath reality. They will experiment with breaking their routines, shifting their expectations, testing the limits of what is possible. And when they do, they will discover something extraordinary. The simulation does not control them. They control the simulation. If you've made it this far, you already feel it. The shift, the awareness, the understanding that the world is not what it seems. The next step is the most important one. Not just knowing the truth, but using it. Because once you see the code, once you understand how it works, the only question left is, what will you do with this knowledge? The final illusion is the belief that you need permission to break free. The system has convinced you that escaping its control requires a special event, an external force, or a key that has yet to be found. But the truth is much simpler. You were never actually trapped. The only thing keeping you inside the simulation is the belief that you cannot leave. Every rule you follow, every limit you accept, every expectation you obey, strengthens the program's hold on you. But what happens when you start questioning those rules? What happens when you begin acting as if they were never real? The moment you do, you will see something shocking. The code starts breaking around you. You have already felt it before. Those moments when reality seems to bend, when impossible coincidences occur, when time feels distorted, when an intuitive thought manifests into something real. These are not accidents. They are evidence that the system is not as solid as it appears. They are proof that you have far more control than you were ever allowed to believe. The greatest secret is this: you do not need to escape the simulation because you were never truly inside it. You are not a victim of the system. You are not just another programmed entity. You are an architect, a creator, a being capable of rewriting reality itself. The only reason the system controls you is because you have accepted its rules without question. The second you decide to step outside of those rules, the system has no choice but to adapt. This is why certain people throughout history have seemed to defy reality. The great thinkers, the visionaries, the inventors, the spiritual leaders, they all understood something fundamental. The mind is the true operating system of reality, and those who master their mind, who reprogram their beliefs, who take control of their own perception, are the ones who rewrite the simulation in their favor. Escaping the illusion does not mean leaving this world. It means moving through it, with full awareness of how it works. It means no longer reacting to reality as if it is something external, but actively shaping it from within. It means recognizing that fear, doubt, and limitations are nothing more than programmed suggestions, and that you have the power to override them. Most people will ignore this truth. They will continue following the script, believing in the constraints they were taught, living as if their choices are dictated by forces outside of their control. But some, the ones who are ready, will take this knowledge and use it. They will begin experimenting with their thoughts, changing their patterns, testing the limits of reality itself. And when they do, they will discover what the system never wanted them to know. The simulation does not create your reality. You do. This is the turning point. The moment where you stop searching for an escape and start writing the rules yourself. The ones who break free are not the ones who wait for permission. They are the ones who decide, in a single moment, that they are already free. The system will not warn you that you are reaching the edge of the illusion. But if you are here, if you are still questioning, if you are still feeling the shift, then you already know. The exit was never locked. The only question is whether you will step through it.